So here I am. It's the exact spot right here where I parked my car last year, where I finished up coming down from Bolton Valley, right up over here. So I'm gonna take this little river section back to my car, because in the spirit of going southbound, I parked my car down at the Duxbury Road parking lot, and I walked up, so I have a pretty good idea of what to expect going back, but I just hiked back up, and now I'm gonna hike back to my car and get this river section done out of the way. I hope you can hear that with the traffic. Because in 2 weeks, I'm going to start up on going over Camel's Hump. And I'm gonna try to get from 89 to Route 4 this summer. So that's where I'm at on my long trail adventures. I started in 2020, coming out of COVID. And like everybody else, I was doing a lot of baking, became an amazing baker, or no baker for that matter, because I was eating a lot of no-bake Jello cheesecakes. And here's Route 2. Oh. All right, a little quieter in here. All right, so I just left the Route 2 parking lot, and I'm hiking the Winooski river section of the long trail down to my car. Just to repeat myself if that didn't get picked up with the traffic. But yeah, so I started in 2020 and I was fat. I was like 235. I was real fat, not out of shape, and I'd hiked not much, maybe 25 miles before I headed out. My pack was heavy. It was like 37 pounds when I started. I had like extra water, and I had a lot of gear, and I didn't really know what I was doing, getting myself into. And that first day I started, I drove up in the morning with my mom, so I didn't really start. And we had brunch with a friend, and I didn't really start until 11:30, 12, pretty much noon. And I remember standing at the northern marker, and the sun just beating down. The sweat was like just pouring off of me. And I made it to the Shooting Star shelter that first day, and which was fine, and things were going good. And then the next morning, it was pouring rain, and I went over Dull Peak, and that was pretty tough. That kind of exhausted me. In the rain, with my pack being as heavy as it was, and first real day. And I got to Laura Woodward shelter, and it was still kind of nasty weather, and everyone was telling me don't try to go over J Peak in the bad weather. So I waited it out at Laura Woodward. The next morning it was beautiful when I woke up. Not a cloud in the sky, but it was hot. It was extremely hot. And I got up over J and pretty much exhausted myself at that point. I was struggling keeping food down, and there was a hurricane coming. Hurricane Faye, I believe it was. And I had to make a decision what to do. Like, stay out on the trail and, 2 or 3 days of rain for hurricane. Exhausted when I was already not being able to eat, and my urine was pretty fluorescent orange color, pretty bad. Or get off the trail and hop down into J, which I did. I went down the J Village Inn. Wonderful place if you're finishing up. It's a great place to get off the trail for a little ending celebration, or if you're just starting and you forget something, there's a nice little store across the way, country store, supply store. And the Village Inn was very kind to me. The summer rates were nice. There was a pool. The food was delicious. So it rained for like 3 days straight, like hard rain. The hurricane came through or whatever, what was left of it by the time it got up here. And I rested up and then headed back out and ended up at Hazen's Notch. And I was at Hazen's Notch, and the next morning I was getting ready to head out, and I ran into this hiker named Beats. Shout out to Beats. And he was like, dude, don't go up Haystack. Like, there's a storm coming. Haystack's pretty nasty. Going up the northern face, headed southbound, is pretty steep. Don't do it. So we hung out there, and a couple more guys showed up, and it started to rain, and a few guys and I pretty much spent the day at Hazen's Notch, and it rained hard. It rained 5-6 hours straight, absolute cats and dogs. So that was that. And then the next day, you know, I'm already like a week in, and I haven't even gotten past Hazen's Notch because of the weather. Ridiculous. But so we went over, a couple of the guys there, Fist Bump and Slug, shout out to them. We kind of hiked together, and we went over Haystack and Tillotson, which was pretty much hiking in ankle deep water the whole time. River walking almost. There was so much water. And then the bogs on top of Haystack were kind of flooded. So we got over that, and we stayed at Tillotson, which is a small little place, little shelter. And then we decided, because there was another storm coming, we figured we'd go from Tillotson to Corliss and then stay at Corliss to let that other storm come through. So we skipped Spruce Ledge and went all the way. Here's this is the river walk, the footbridge. Winooski River, we're about to go over the Winooski River footbridge. So we skipped Spruce Ledge and went to Corliss Camp, which is a nice camp. It's pretty big. It's got a picnic table and nice water. And we stayed there, and yeah, sure enough, another storm came through. It rained all day hard. And we hung out there, and some people came and went, and I learned, my first experience I've learned out on the long trail is expect to be wet, and I don't like hiking in the rain. Straight up. Whoop. So we hung out at Corliss. Then the next day it was gorgeous. Got up, went over Butternut, or it's a Butternut Laraway, I believe. Prospect Rock had a beautiful view of the Moyle River. I'm a big fan of the Moyle River due to some fond memories from when I was a kid. And I got down to Hogback. And funny story about Hogback, I'm standing in the middle of the road and calling my friend Samantha because she's supposed to pick us up. And I'm like, where are you? I'm standing in the middle of the road. She's like, I'm in the middle of the road. What are you talking about? And she was at Route 15 and I was at Hogback. So at some point when I'm done with this, I got to go back and do that little section between Route 15 and Hogback, which is fine because I'll go swimming, tubing in the Lamoille, and that'll be fun. So yeah, here's the footbridge. Going over the footbridge, Winooski River. Pretty sweet. It's an interesting little section like through here. Kind of winds in some fields and some roads. There's a free-range chicken farm up here with a couple big guard dogs. And I won't film there because the dogs bark, but I'll get you a picture of it. But anyway, so that was my first experience. But the thing was, coming down Tillotson, I fell and I twisted my foot. And I didn't think much of it, but I kept hiking on it. And I'm gonna stay on this side over here by the guardrail. So you know what? I'm gonna cross over. Go with traffic. So, and then that was about halfway. So I still hiked over 20 miles on my foot after I heard it. And I got to my friend's house in Johnson, Johnson. And the next day it stiffened up. It was turning green. It was done. I thought I could rest it there for a couple days, and it just got worse. And I came to the realization that my my summer experience on the long trail was over with that injury, and that was all right. I dipped my toe in the water all day, most of the days hiking, and I came away with some valuable lessons and some good experience and the motivation to keep doing it. So, successful first failure. So last summer I headed out, and each of these years I've gotten a little better shape. So I was a little better shape, a little more prepared and confident last year heading out. But I took a friend with me who's never really done any thru hiking or anything and wasn't really prepared, and got lost a couple times. And it was really, again, with the bad weather. And I'd waited a little bit because the first year I went out like July 7th or 8th, and the weather was raining, so I thought I'd wait a little bit and the weather would clear, and I get the end of July and August. And as I work in the school system, so I only get really July and part of August to get out and hike. So that's what I'm stuck with dealing with. I don't have time to do it the rest of the time, just on the weekends and stuff, because of my business runs on the weekends. Willie's Barbecue, shout out to Willie's Barbecue. Yeah, so I got from 15 to 108 over Smuggler's Notch and Whiteface and Madonna and Sterling Ridge, and that's really nice. It's just the weather was awful. We spent one of the nights on top of Whiteface in the warming hut, the ski hut, which was kind of cool, and then Biggie and I went snowboarding at Smuggler's Notch. This is my first time there, so I got to check that out. That was sweet. Yeah, so we got over that, and then he was kind of done. And then a week later, well, here comes another hiker. A week later, I went back alone to go over Camel's Hump. Not Camel's Hump, Mount Mansfield. And that was sweet, and I stayed at Butler Lodge, and that was awesome. And probably my favorite place I've stayed in so far, absolutely. Yeah, so far, probably the best one. What's up, man? How goes it? Yeah. I'm just Route 2 to the Ducks. I parked at Duxbury. I'm getting this out of the way because I'm going to start there next week or so. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, so section hiking it. Good. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, he's talking about where the dog and chicken coop is. I already came through there. This is one of the more confusing sections. I always hear people talking about or reading about on blogs and stuff. They're worried about the ticks and finding their way through, and there's some electric fences you got to go over, and some farms and stuff. For me, it feels like home. I grew up on a horse farm in Champlain Valley, and I spent my summers haying in the fields and all that. And it's funny. I never remember having issues with ticks. We didn't even think about it. Did not even think about it. We handled hay and all that all day, and we're out in the fields. And now that's what it's. I don't want to give advice. If you want advice on ticks, get it from somewhere else. But I'm just saying, now I see them everywhere, and I have more trouble with them in my backyard than I ever have hiking. And I don't really prepare myself to go out in my backyard, so I don't really worry about them hiking. I just do a lot of vigilant body checks, and I hike a lot in the summer. I like to be sleeveless or shirtless. I'm constantly checking my arms. See, there's a bug right there. I just see it, boom. As far as long sleeve stuff goes, I just feel like long sleeve stuff, you're just taking them with you. They're going to go wherever you're going with you on their long clothes. Whereas if I see them, I can get them right off me immediately. But yeah, I've been bitten by ticks a bunch of times. I'm not too concerned about it. But don't take any advice from me. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Did I miss? Shoot, I walked right by. Did I walk right by it? I think I did. Oh shoot, I gotta backtrack. Don't I? Oh, I got too busy talking. Yeah, shoot. I walked right by it. That's the chicken farm right there, so I know that's where I came. Is that it right there? That might be it right there. I didn't go too far past it. That's one thing. If you backtrack, you usually get back on course pretty quick. Of course, I feel kind of silly because I already came through here, but yeah, I remember stepping out. Anywho, so I went over Mansfield. Well, I've been using Ultras. Big fan of the Ultra Mountain King MTs, and they pretty much are shot. I got about 100 miles of hiking, Vermont hiking in them, and that was about it. So I had to go. I went and got a pair of Lone Peaks, which I know everybody loves. I do not love, though, the Lone Peaks. I found them to not have as good a traction with the Max Trek soles as the Vibram soles that you could find on the there it is. Yeah, see, I knew it wasn't too far. Duh. Here we go. Long trail. All right. Yeah, so anyway, so I didn't enjoy going over the forehead with those Lone Peaks very much. So I didn't really like the idea of going over Camel's Hump the way the weather had been with shoes that I didn't care too much for, at least the south side, because a couple people told me the south side of Camel's Hump's pretty rough. So I ran out of time last summer because I couldn't find a pair of shoes I liked, and that was it. So I ran out of time. That kind of a lame excuse. I could have probably gotten another section or two in, but I just felt like that was a good point to stop. It took me the 2 summers, but I got the northern part done. Now I can work on central Vermont, and I'm super confident. I'm in good shape, better shape anyway, headed into this year. Byproduct of this is I've actually started trail running, because I do this little hike called Snake Mountain, and I've gotten to the point when I first started doing this, it took me like an hour and 25 minutes to get just up it, and I can just about go up and back in an hour now. 63 minutes 30 seconds last time. So I've started doing a little trail running as I've gotten in better shape, and I expect this summer to probably get below 200 if I can. I'd say by midsummer I'll be in good shape. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna do, my friend Mary is gonna bring me up to do from where I'm parked here, Duxbury, to Route 17. I'm gonna park at Route 17 and hike to that, and I'm just gonna work the gaps this summer. Try to get down to Route 4, my backyard. So there's electric fences in these farms, and there's these little things you gotta go over. And here's some of these fields. You walk along the fields, and yeah, I like I said, I grew up on a 600-acre horse farm, and we hayed all summer. So I'll just give myself a look over when I get back to the car. As far as the ticks and stuff go, I'm not too worried about it. I'll keep the camera going. The dogs are probably gonna start barking up here, but I'll keep it going so I can have a record of how this little section goes. So I've already made it through. If you try to hug the fence, which you should do, because most of this is along the fence line, you're gonna get stuck because you're gonna run into the chicken farm part over here. You gotta go around that and then pick up the trail again. yeah, so other than getting in better shape, not much has really changed. My gear's all pretty much the same. I got a new pair of Ultra King MTs. Big fan of the 3-day, 2-night section hike. That's my thing now. There's good crossings spaced out about that distance. So that's what my strategy is going to be. Yeah. Well, maybe the dogs got, someone came and got the dogs. Nope, there's the dog. Here it comes. You know, hey guys, it's okay. It's okay. They're big dogs too. Look at the size. Beautiful big dog. It's all right, buddy. Oh, I'll be going on my way. Yeah, it's nice. Look at this chicken farm. Free range chicken farm, pretty cool. A few loose ends over here. My dad used to raise chickens growing up for me, and we stopped doing it when he didn't want to slaughter them himself. So when Misty Knoll Slaughterhouse in Bristol stopped taking external chickens, we stopped doing it. But boy, they were good. Oh boy. Delicious. So yeah, today I pretty much drove up to check out the mileage to Route 17 parking lot. It's about 55 miles from my house, but I took kind of the long way. Probably could shave a few miles off that, but it's up in Bristol. I go through there all the time. And in the summer anyway, I like to go swim at Bristol Falls. And then looping around, it's another 25 miles. So it's about 80 miles. I came up through Waitsfield, past Mad River Glen, and looped around that way. I think I'll probably come back up that way too, again. And then just drop the car off and come up. Hopefully nothing happens to it. I guess they had a fire there last week. A hiker's car caught on fire and burned 2 others, and none of them were there. And the fire department took the vehicles back to whatever, the town garage or whatever, to put them someplace safe. And whoever the hikers were going to come back to an empty parking lot and probably smoke for burn marks where their vehicle was. So I don't know, this section took me, I don't know, a little over an hour and 20 minutes to go up the other way. So kind of just winds along the roads and the rivers and the farms. I felt it'd be easier though when I start to not just kind of waste the time of day. Like, I'm worried more about the daylight than the mileage. When we have to come up, we're coming up the 28th, I think, is my plan. And I don't want to have to like just waste an hour of daylight to do this little section. So I figured, you know what, I'll go up, I'll scout it, see where the parking is, get this river walk out of the way, and then I'm continuing on right where I left off to head up over Camel's Hump. I've been up Camel's Hump before. When I was a kid, we did it with Keewaydin. I went to summer camp called Keewaydin. It's been around forever. Over on Lake Dunmore, Salisbury. We did all kinds of hikes and canoe trips and stuff when I was little. But I was never a big fan of hiking. I didn't really get into it till a few summers ago. I kind of call it midlife crisis hiking. And I did some summits. I just started picking a summit a week. I'd get up on Tuesday morning early and go drive up to a summit. I'll drive up to a trail And I did a bunch. I did Mansfield and Mount Abraham and Mount Ellen and Camel's Hump, Equinox, Breadloaf, Wilson, Pico, just a bunch of summits, and I kind of got hooked on it. And I was up with a buddy of mine, Killington. We were on Killington with my buddy Dan. Shout out to Dan. We were hanging out at Cooper's Lodge, which I'd never seen in the summertime because I've only ever been there snowboarding. And there was a gentleman there we got to chatting with, and he brought up the long trail, and he kind of, made a offhand remark about it. So we dug a little further, and turns out he had tried to hike it, and he'd lasted a day, and I guess he'd gotten some chafing from his backpack, and he couldn't take it. He was headed north from the southern terminus, and that was it, a day. So, which is fine, I know things happen. It happened to me. I didn't make it very far either. Did make it more in the day, but not by much. And so I had that thought in my head. I said, well, I got to test myself. I got to see how far I can make it. So I started getting that itch, and that was what led to, I spent a year kind of getting my gear together and researching and watching videos and watching Dixie and Darwin and all the hiking channels out there, and just getting fatter and fatter on the couch during the lockdown for COVID. So kind of pulling in two opposite directions there. But anyway, I got out and tried it, and now here I am. I'm hooked on it. This will be done. I'll be done with this at some point. I'd like to be done with it next summer. If I could do Central Vermont this summer and Southern Vermont next summer, I will be happy. But I run my barbecue business on the weekends, so I don't want to give up too much of that like I did the first year. So I just kind of fit it in Tuesday to Friday. That's why the 3 days works good. I can come out here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go back, use Friday to get ready to work on the weekend. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Maybe at some point in my life I'll come out and try to do it all in one shot. Whoop. Oh. There's another one of these rises over the electric fence. I do have my pack on today. I put about, I don't know, I got 18 pounds, maybe 20 pounds in it. Figured I should put something in it. I want to do this dry. Basically two big water bottles filled up, and my tent and sleeping bag and a hammock I've got, some other junk. So got a little weight on the pack. I could see how people would get lost coming through here. This is pretty overgrown little piece along the side of this field here. And there are a few raspberry prickers. Felt one just scrape my leg just then. Yeah, I'm leaving. Caught me. See you later. Ooh. Okay, so there is a river crossing here that no chance I'm gonna make it over. So there is a high water bypass to go around. You can cross the river right there with low water, you can do it, but not today. I already tried that, headed the other way. Basically, it takes you up to a road up here with a bridge, and you loop back around through the woods. Watch the electric fences. Had a few run-ins with electric fences in my day growing up on the farm. Crashed a bike into one time at McDermott's farm over on Money Hole Road when we were little kids, having a bike race. This old rickety bike I was on went out of control and crashed into an electric fence. Zap, zap. Yeah, see? This comes out on the road here. I gotta tie my shoe. Put this down. Whew. Preston Brook, I believe this is called. And back through here. There are no climbs at this little section. It's all pretty much flat the whole way. Looks like we got remnants of a rock wall. I know there's another one I crossed over. Oh, right there. And back to the long trail from the high water bypass. You can see there's really not any good way across there. Not right there anyway. Not without risking slipping. Now I don't feel like getting my shoes wet, so headed back on the LT. And up and over. listening to all the birds. I always say, listen to your hike. And although sometimes I do like to have music when I'm hiking, sometimes I just like to listen to what's going on around me. Here's a stone wall. These stone walls are from when they cleared the fields back in the day. They put the stones around the perimeter. Sometimes you'll be hiking through the woods or deer hunting through the woods and you'll find stone walls going right through with trees growing up. Those are old pastures. At one point in time, Vermont was a huge sheep state, sheep producing, wool producing state. And it was shipped down Lake Champlain and the Hudson on barges. And probably 70-80% of the state, I believe, was clear cut, like right up the mountainsides and the whole bit, because sheep need a lot less, I guess, quality land than cows do. So yeah, that was kind of the thing. I think this is the last bridge over the fence. I got a name for them. I can't remember what it is right now. And this other chicken farm up here. They're gonna wonder what I'm doing because they were out working when I walked by before. And I'm doubling back quite a distance here. Yeah, I think that's the last one. I think there's 4 of them. Definitely see how early in the season this could be. Someone definitely mowed through here, so I could see how this trail could be hard to find depending on the condition of whether it's been mowed or not and what time of year. There are parts it's pretty easy to follow, but definitely parts that could get overgrown. I am going to the second Duxbury parking lot. There's 2 of them on River Road, but I'm going to the second one. Start straight up from there over Camel's Hump. That's the last big real climb, massive climb. And compare it to the Whiteface climb. That was a pretty tough one. I'll tell you the climb I would not want to do is I would not want to go northbound over Bolton. I tell you what, anyone headed up Bolton, which is right over on the other side of the river, oh God, that's a doozy of a climb. I ended my last day on that last year. I stayed in puffer shelter. It was kind of raining a little bit in the afternoon, so I stayed there instead of pushing on to Buchanan. And it was nice chilling there. A couple girls came and it was good company for the night, kind of chilling. And then I think it was like 9 miles down from the summit. It was like 10-mile day. It was just a few hundred yards down from the summit at Puffer. And then it was all downhill, but it was pouring rain and windy and cold. And I did 10.4 miles, I think, in 6 hours. I was flying. I was pretty proud of myself for that one. And it was all downhill. My feet were just getting bashed and bashed because I was really kind of pushing it. Get to the car, go get some food, get dry. But that was kind of when that last couple days, I kind of realized I'm pretty confident out here now hiking. Well, it looks like the folks are gone. It's another chicken farm. This one's a little smaller. This might be like the hen chickling house or whatever. Definitely you can see you got some chicks in there. Tie my shoe again. Yeah, today I'm wearing my Ultra. These are the Lone Peaks I was talking about. They're nice for light trail running and stuff, but when it comes to rock scrambling, when wet rocks, I'm not a huge fan. And there's a lot of that all over the place on the Hog Trail. There's nothing easy about the northern section. I tell you what, I'm glad that I've got it out of the way. I've done most of the peaks down in the southern one, except for Stratton, but I mean Pico, Killington, Bromley, Equinox. I've hiked all of those. So I'm pretty certain I'll just get more confident as I head south. I would like to get a 20-mile day in too, somewhere down south. I don't know, I've never done that. Most I've ever got in is a 14-mile day. That wasn't on the long trail either, that was on Mount Moose Maloo. Went from Route 125 up to Rattlesnake Ridge and back. It's like 7 miles each way. That was one of my training hikes for the long trail. One of the first ones I did with basically full pack on. All right, so we're coming out here. This is the first Duxbury Road parking lot. So I guess I don't really get why there's two, but there's two of them, and they are attached by River Road. I couldn't really tell on the long trail map. I wasn't sure if like one ended and the trail went to the other one, or if the road goes straight to the other one. But like here's, all right, Long Trail North. Here's the road. Here's the little parking lot. So I've got, let's see, I measured it. It's about 7/10 of a mile, 8/10 of a mile from here down to the next parking lot on the road. And that's pretty much it. They make it sound like one of the, here's a little sign right here. Long Trail North. And there's a little, and here we go. Back out on the pavement. Yeah, so I don't change much. Haven't changed much with my equipment. I might get a foam sleeping pad. Not a big fan of the blow-up one. And I really do need a better sleeping bag. I should look into that. I might start with the one I've got, but it doesn't fit me. I'm too big for it. And though it's worked, I don't really like it. Probably take the same clothes. I might add a wool. I have a very lightweight wool sweater that I might add to my clothes, because I did have one little scare getting a little cold up on top of Puffer last year. I had all my dry clothes on and my wind gear, rain gear, and was still kind of in the shelter and was still a little bit chilly. But food wise, I like the 3-day, 2-night. It doesn't have to, you don't have to carry a lot of food. I like the Mountain House meals or the freeze-dried meals, various kinds. I know they're loaded with sodium, but you know, you need the sodium anyway because you're sweating it all out. So I think I can afford a couple of those. And yeah, I bring Pedialyte and Gatorade. I gotta have my coffee, a little hot cocoa, and I do those Mountain House meals. I do bring a chip bag. I call it a carb bag. Kind of crushed up chips in the bag. I stopped bringing tuna packs because I got to thinking about it. Those empty tuna packs in July, after 2 or 3 days in your garbage bag, start to really kind of stink. So if anything was to attract bears around, I would imagine a 3-day-old July tuna pouch might be one. I'm not gonna give any advice on the bear situation. You can go research that on your own from Green Mountain. I do a hang, and I will leave it at that. There's too much controversy around that. It's pretty straightforward though if you go to the Green Mountain site. I don't know, I haven't seen much of them up north. I know they're around. I've certainly seen pictures, but I haven't had any run-ins or anything. I lived in Vermont my entire life, and I saw my first bear in person last year, and it walked across the ski slope at Pico while a bunch of people were in line waiting to get in the ski club sale. That's the first bear I've seen at Pico. And I've always heard that there's lots of bears around the Clarendon area. Clarendon Shelter is a problem area. in basically that Killington area. And I have friends that have had them knock over their grills and walk to their yard and stuff all over Killington area. So I know that that's definitely a spot to be vigilant. I am thinking when it comes time for me to go over Killington, I might try to do Clarendon, or I guess, well, Route 4 to Clarendon in one shot. I think it's like 17 miles, 16 miles. I feel like, because I live right near there, and I feel like if I start at Killington on Route 4 at like maybe 3 or 4 in the morning, I can get to, once I get up on top of Killington, it's all downhill for the most part. And I can just get down to my car, leave my car in Clarendon and skip that whole section. So I can start the southern section from the Clarendon shelter and just head down. And then, hey, how's it going? Then it's mostly dealing with AT hikers and crowded shelter sites. From what I hear, that's kind of the thing down the southern portion. I haven't had any trouble with that up here. I've had shelters to myself. I had Butler to myself. That was amazing. I've shared a few. The only really time we ran into trouble was at Hazen's Notch when it was super wet, storming out. We had 5 or 6 of us in there, and a couple of German guys came, and these were like, it was a father and son, and these were like big 6'4", strapping German guys, whatever, European hikers. And they looked at the options that were available to them and decided to keep going. And it was interesting because it was absolute nasty weather. It was pouring. And one of them, the father, took all the gear. They like doubled up all the gear. And one of them was going to carry all the gear while the other one, I guess, ran ahead and rested. And then they were going to flip-flop. And we kind of stood there watching them divvy up all their gear and pile it up and pack it up and take off in the rain. And it was kind of crazy to us. So I don't know. So that was the only time. We shared the Tillotson. Got pretty full with a few guys, which was fine. They were already there when we got there. And then Corliss filled up. We had some people came in. Some day hikers came in when I was at Corliss, so that was a pretty full camp. That's a big camp though, and that's got a loft in it. There's a lot of room at Tillotson. Not Tillotson, Corliss. Tillotson's not very big. I have no idea about Spruce Ledge. I never went up and looked at it. It was like an 800-foot climb. Not going to happen. We were in a hurry that day. And then the shelters, Whiteface Shelters, the regular lean-to, Laura Woodward's a lean-to, Shooting Star's a lean-to, Hazen's Notch and J Camp are both like little cabins. Pretty cool. Taft Lodge is a pretty nice cabin. I just stopped there briefly because I started at Route 108, so that was like just a quick wet rest stop. But Butler Lodge, I tell you what, Butler Lodge is the most amazing place I've stayed in so far. And I've been to Skyline on a day hike, so I know there's some other nice ones. But Butler, if you can plan to stay at Butler, you need to plan your day around that. It is the most amazing view and sunset that I've seen so far. Though I know there's some others, I just haven't gotten to them yet. Still using the same pack. My Mountain Laurel Designs Exodus. I like it. It's a frameless pack. It's light as a feather. 19.5 ounces dry. I haven't had any abrasions, any blisters. sore back. I have a horrible back always, so nothing's gonna change that. I think I walked about 12 minutes on this section, going the other way. When I get down here, back to the car, I'm gonna run some errands, maybe pop in on a friend at work, make my way back home. So nice. So this is kind of a spontaneous thing I just thought about doing last night. It's like, you know, I should run up there, find out exactly the logistics, where I'm parking and stuff. Oh, here comes another one. I don't know if this is a thru hiker or not. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just doing this river section. I'm gonna start at the parking lot up here next week. So I left off at Route 2 last year, so I was like, you know what, I'll get this done. So I'll save daylight when I start next week. Yeah. You doing one shot or?
Yeah, sort of. I'm taking one to 0.
Okay.
I'm going into town today. Might drive to Portland, Maine. I might meet my cousin who's doing the AT. She's in Vermont now.
Right on.
So then I'll probably finish off.
Yeah, I've been sectioning it. I live down near Rutland, so
Nice.
been working on it. I'll tell you, that climb up Bolton. Oh my good! I came down it last year, and that's all I could think of was I would not want to go up that.
I did a bit this winter. The snow just got me, so I had to bail out and go down.
It's a solid 9-mile climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Buchanan might be a place to stay. I don't know, but yeah, But I'm starting with Camel's Hump next week, so.
Yeah, so are you going up and over south?
Yeah.
I can't imagine going down the hump southbound.
You're like the fourth person that's told me that.
Because I took a video of me going up, and I'm so glad I did. Because that was the scariest thing I've ever done going up.
Well, that's what I thought about the forehead.
Yeah.
Like I came down the forehead and I was like,
Yeah.
dude, but if you can stay at Butler's the best place I've seen. But Butler's amazing. You can.
Stark's Nest. Also.
Right on.
Both sunrise and sunset.
Oh, okay. Butler looks out at the lake, so you can watch the sunrise set on the Adirondacks over the lake, and you can see the city lights in Burlington. Stark's Nest, yeah. I'm a little nervous about going down the south side.
But that'll be it. That'll be the only scary thing you'll have to do.
Yeah, that's good because this northern section, there's plenty of it. Haystack was a little sketchy, and
What's your name?
it's Woody is my trail name, but I'm Willie, it's my real name. So
I'm
Stride, nice. Yeah, I parked there. I walked up, and now I'm headed back, and doing my little recap video, and just getting ready to get back out. I'd like to get from here to Route 4.
Yeah.
That'd be my goal. That's kind of home and nice. And then next summer, if I could do the southern end, I'll feel complete.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've only got July. I work in the school system, so I only got a little bit.
Have you ever been to the Long Trail?
Yeah, I work at Pico,
Nice.
so
I took the Blue Blaze down.
Okay.
The new Long Trail.
Yeah.
I guess I was on Pico.
Probably, yeah. If you went the old way, you took Shelburne Pass Trail or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the Pico Hotel? The Porcupine Hotel, they call it, the old Pico Lodge.
The old lodge.
Yeah.
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 That was cool.
Yeah.
Porcupine.
Yeah, they call it the Porcupine
They
Hotel.
were eating it.
They're all over that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I snowboard instruct there in the winters. That's my home spot. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah.
just started riding in the woods the first 100 miles or so. I split off from the big lodge so I can go on walks.
Nice. Yeah, I did a little bit. The first year I was still learning. The last year was a little better. So
I've never done anything like this in my life. So it's good to have support. My brother lives in Virginia, so I called him the other day.
nice. Cool. Cool beans.
Yeah. What's your environment?
Oh, I grew up like, I mean, I went to high school at Fairhaven. I leave my car and hike to it. That's my routine. I'll get somebody to bring me to where I'm starting. Because I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for someone when who knows what condition I'm in, cold or wet or hungry. So like, as long as I get to my car, and I've been doing like 3-day, 20+ mile sections, because that's what most of the crosses are. Like 108, 15, 2, they're all around 20 something miles. And that's pretty much what I plan on doing. I tried to come out when I started and do it all in one shot, and I failed miserably.
How's that?
Oh, I got hurt. I wasn't in good shape. I was about 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And I fell and I twisted my foot, but
I fell yesterday for the first time.
yeah, I couldn't lift. Like it wasn't a side to side, it was up down. And I'm like, I can't climb. And I actually didn't hike the rest of summer that year. And then last year was a little better. The weather just got me last year. I tried to plan around the weather and it never.
I'm going to take off, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to take off all bad days.
Yeah.
I haven't had a walk.
Dude, I'm convinced July sucks. Like the last 2 years, it's rained like 3 of the 4 weeks in July.
I mean, there's bugs. I mean, my legs are eaten up. The guy ahead of me is just wears pants.
Yeah.
Honestly, pace yourself.
I sweat too much for pants. I can't do it.
I can't even wear these socks.
Yeah, I completely drench myself
Yeah, I know.
all the time.
Yeah,
Like
I like this because I can just.
I'll literally, like, if I lean forward on my poles, it's a steady stream to the ground. I'm like, oh, that can't be good for me. Like, I gotta put that back in. Oh, yeah. But it's nice. There's some nice parts. There's not much views, and after Mansfield, Belvedere's. There's a fire tower on Belvedere, but it was fogged over. Yeah. I'm real careful how far off the trail I'll go for a view too, because some of them are. Laraway has a nice view, and there's a couple lookouts, but there's not much. Tillotson kind of has a nice view from it, of the windmills on the ridge there. But yeah, no, Jay's the best one left. Yeah, Jay's gorgeous on top. It loops around. Part of it crosses the ski slope. There's kind of it's not too bad. It's going up from this side. It's pretty straightforward. Jay's not too bad. It's a lot of rocky kind of. I don't know what to compare it to. Maybe like the top of Mount Abraham, like where it was all kind of rock scramble.
And then Journey's End, do you think it's cool to leave my car there for like a week? So I can finish it off?
Yeah, it's kind of an out of the way parking lot. Like I don't feel like it's the ones where the crossings where there's more like people are kind of like they could pull in quick and look to see if they mess with stuff. People would have to like go out of their way to get up there to go mess with someone's car. Like not that it wouldn't happen, but it's kind of a roundabout out of the way little spot. Yeah, I got dropped off there. My mom drove me up from home the day I started. Yeah, I think if you left it there and hiked to it, you'd be great. And I mean, if you got to get off trail for anything, Johnson's a good place to do it. You cross right through in Johnson, right on the main road. You can get into town easy. And the J Village Inn, like right at the end there, I had to get off trail because a hurricane came through, Hurricane Faye or whatever, a couple years ago. So I went down to Johnson Inn and stayed there for a couple days. There's a nice store right across from there.
Yeah, it did rain, but that's when I was at the Long Trail. In the Long Trail, I had gotten too drunk the night before. While it was raining that night too. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here.
Yeah, I just say that's basically what I did. I waited out the storm. They charged me $85 a night, which was like they had a pool, and like they were playing reggae at the pool, and like all the locals were hanging out, and I was like, this place is too nice. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
I didn't know about the swans until I read the signs.
I've read a lot of reviews. People rave about it, but I'm not here. Like, that's not part of my trip. Like, I live here, so why do I go stay at the place? Like, I mean, I'm.
Now that I know that I'm to do it again, I would go in town.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how easy it would be.
I hitched once. I got a ride in the J pretty easily, and that was peak COVID. That was 2020, like right in the heart of it. And a guy picked me up, older gentleman, no problem. I've been thinking about it down south, maybe in Bennington and Manchester. It might be nice to kind of add that experience to it.
I went into Manchester just to get a hamburger, got back on the trail,
Just right back out. Yeah.
down the side trail.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone talks about going into Rutland and staying at Yellow Deli and all that, and I'm too familiar with them and Yellow Deli and Rutland in general to go. Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, don't bother with that. So I'm actually thinking when I get to Route 4, I'm planning on going Route 4 to Clarendon in one shot. Clarendon's like where the Clarendon Gorge is, over Killington. Like I don't want to stay in the shelters around Killington. And I feel like if I start at like 3 in the morning, like drive up and start at like 3 in the morning in the dark, because I've done that before, like to get up on Pico for sunrises. And I can get up on top of Killington for sunrise and then just hike down and completely skip that whole section, like as far as dealing with AT hikers and having to stay at a shelter. And I hear Clarendon shelter is the worst one for bear problems. Yeah, that's pretty much the word I hear. That whole section, basically from Clarendon to Killington. Yeah. So that's my plan, and we'll see. Yeah. Hey. Well, here's the no plans. Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm done with school here shortly, and then I'll get my summer off. I got a little barbecue business down on 22A, Willie's Barbecue. You been to Willie's? I'm Willie. Okay. Yeah. This is my summer, barbecue and hike. And that's yeah. No kidding. That's funny. Small world. Well, that's what 2020 was my 10th year. And I was like, I've been slaving away at this for 10 years. I need something to do in the summer that's like for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to hike the Long Trail. I'm going to take off and like take that time. And I took the 3 weeks. I was all set to do it. And then, got hurt. And now I was like, well, financially, I got to keep it open weekends. So I just come out and squeeze in midweek sections, and that's it. Hiking, that's it. He's out hiking. That's exactly it. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, it's been 12 years. And I live right there. Like, that's where I grew up. So like, it's not a bad commute, you know. Like that's kind of what I was doing today. I went past the 17 gap, and it's 55 miles from my house to there. And my friend Mary's going to bring me up, and we're going to drop the car off there, and then I'm going to come down through Waitsfield, loop around to here. And then she's going to hike, like, I don't know, she might get up to Bamforth and then turn around. I don't know. I doubt she'll get to the summit, but I'd like to get over the summit that day. And what's that, Thorndine or whatever? Yeah, shelter, I think. Something up there. There's the shelter on the other side of the hump is my plan if I can get to it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Montcalm? Montclair? Okay, that might be it then. Yeah, Montclair. Yeah. I hear, yeah, Ladder Ravine I hear is kind of tricky. Yeah. I kind of feel like that's the last, like, quote unquote difficult section. Like after that, I mean, I've hiked all the peaks pretty much south of that. So I feel like it'll go pretty good once I get through that. But did you stay at Skylight Pond or Skyline? The little cabin with the pond in front. Yeah. Yeah, I've been there on day hikes, so check it out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like hiking in the rain. Up north, like Haystack and Tillotson and stuff, they're too steep. Like I don't, it doesn't, I don't enjoy it. Yeah, and Haystack has a bunch of bogs on top, like pretty deep. Like I'm glad you got poles, because people that I could imagine not being able to like poke. Is this one knee deep or ankle deep? Yeah. Yeah. Now, I hiked with a kid that he wore neoprene socks with sandals with those chubas or chuka. I can't think of the name. Chukkas, sandals, whatever brand. Yeah, he was flying in them though. He had no trouble. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude, stop by, man. You get off the trail. All right, nice chatting with you. See you, bud. See, now that's the cool thing about being out here. Some people want to hike, and I've crossed the trail way out in the middle of nowhere, and when you say hi to people, they won't even say anything. And you've seen a couple of guys, we'll go by and acknowledge each other and stuff. And then you run into people that want to chat, and it turns out that guy's been in my barbecue business. So, like, what are the chances? So that was fun. That's what's cool about like being out here, is you just meet kind of cool people. I've met a bunch of cool people. I should really write the names down, remember them. That was Stride. But like my friend John and I were staying at Whiteface Shelter with a guy from Oakland, California. He was same age as us. We're all the same age, same generation, grew up vastly different experiences. And here we are on the side of a mountain in Vermont in a shelter spending the night. That's just too cool. Too cool. Oh, I'm definitely hungry though. Oh boy, a cup of coffee didn't really cut it. So he's the third or fourth person that's told me to be careful of the south part of Camel's Hump going down. And he's the second one that told me they straight up wouldn't want to go down it. So you can see my hesitancy from last year on why I didn't want to go down it with the footwear that I had that I didn't like, which is these Ultras I'm wearing right now. I'm super confident in my Ultra King MTs, but I am not super confident in my scrambling ability. So I don't know. A little nervous about that. I think there's a bypass, but I'm not 100% positive. But enough people do it, I guess. I mean, I made it over the forehead. I should be able to make it down the hump. It does look treacherous though from a distance. The old Massey Ferguson. I can't believe he'd been at my barbecue. You better all come to my barbecue too. Willie's Barbecue, Route 22A, Benson, Vermont. Open Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 7. Wood-fired, homemade sauces, wood-fired meats, brisket, pork, and ribs. Homemade mac and cheese, homemade coleslaw, burgers, hot dogs, fried food, specials every once in a while. Tip my window girl X. Well, she needs it. She's got to get a car. I don't think it's too much farther. It's got to be right up here a little bit. That's it right up there. Whew. Well, I don't know what the mileage was I did. I'll have to check it, but I'm guessing 6-ish miles. I think it's like 3 from Route 2 to here. And I went up and back. So, yeah, here's the lot. Here's where my car is. There she is. So this is where I'm gonna start on the 28th, heading up over Camel's Hump. This little parking lot right here. And there's another hiker. And there she is. All right, so it took me an hour and 20 minutes and I talked for a good 10 minutes there. So it's about an hour and 10 minutes from Route 2 parking lot to here at a good pace. So an hour and 10 for me, that's probably 3 miles, close to it. So, all right, over and out.